Uh-oh.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How's everybody doing this weekend? We are back another week, another episode live. You guys always showing out, showing up. Once again, retweet that link, show some love and support, man. Let everybody know we are live right now. Let everybody know we're in here. Come holler at us in the chat. Hit the like button on your way in. Once again, say shout out to everybody watching live, everybody that doesn't comment or anything. Shout out to everybody showing love and support, man. You guys are amazing, showing up every single week. So thank you guys for the love and support already, man. So let's go ahead and just dive in. Let's get to our panel. We got a lot to cover, a lot to talk about. Once again, buckle up. Let people know we're live. Let's get this chat popping. Retweet, as well as the super chat is available too. If you want to donate further for the podcast, we greatly appreciate that as well. But let's go ahead and just get around to our panel here. Let's go ahead and just start with our guest. We actually might have another guest that jumps in here a little bit later on. But we'll start with the one we have available here. Shout out to you, Mav, man. Back to back weeks look like hanging out here on the Shot Podcast, man. How you been? What you been playing, brother?
Yeah, making this a habit, huh?
I know, right?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, I've been playing Master Chief Collection, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I've been playing a lot of different stuff, man. I've been having a good week, good weekend so far. Probably playing some more games tonight. So, yeah, just enjoying this next gen life.
Awesome. And how's the podcast doing as well?
Pretty good, man. We had our second live episode last night, so you guys can check that out on my YouTube channel. But yeah, it's fun. It was the first one where I actually had a like a full panel.
Nice.
I always had been doing the pre-recorded stuff, and then my wife joined me as like the second host, and now we had like we had a full panel with 3 guests on, and it was a great time. So I checked that box, and now we're just gonna keep it going.
Awesome, man. Once again, you guys, shout out to you, Mav. Once again, taking some time out. You guys go support him. If you support us here on the Shop Podcast, go check him out. All the information is down in the description below, man. Please hit the links. Go check him out on Twitter. Follow him there. I'm sure you'll be able to get updates on what's going on with him. Let's keep this thing going. What's up, Centurion? How you doing, brother? Let us know what's been going on with you this week, and what you've been up to, what you've been playing, man.
Oh my God. What have I not been playing? I am currently drowning in a backlog, and then my wife dumped on me more games. Oh my God. We got, what is it? Watch Dogs Legion, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I had a good friend of mine get me Yakuza Like a Dragon. It's the first time I've ever played a Yakuza game. I'm having fun with that. And I was telling you guys, I went AWOL and bought Code Vein. Haven't played something from the Asian part of the world in a very, very long time, and I figured why not start there? And that's pretty much what I've been doing. Oh, and yeah, you guys, that's right, the whole thing with the Series X. Finally got that back in. Actually received it yesterday, plugging it in today and getting it all downloaded and getting back on it.
All right, man. Well, glad to hear that you got that situation under wraps, man. Shout out to Xbox and Microsoft for making that happen, man. Very quickly.
Oh yeah, they were really cool.
Xbox back. So yeah, that worked out beautifully. So man, shout out to you being here every single week, showing up, man. Appreciate you, Centurion Stag, man. Here after a week layoff, man. We took a quick
2 weeks.
vacation. 2 week, my bad. 2 week layoff. Shout out to you, man. Glad to see you here. Love your face. Glad to see you, man. But let everybody know what's going on with you, bro. How you been, man?
I've been good. Figured I'd show up so I didn't lose my spot to Mav or something. But it's like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, and I'm like, oh shit, I better make a spot. But no, I mean, last week I didn't feel very good. Week before I had a migraine, so just living life, playing a ton of Valhalla. I think I'm about 50 hours into the game now, and I'm barely doing any main missions. Just kind of running around killing animals and looking for armor and books. I've never actually really dove this deep into any other Assassin's Creed, and I'm stuck. I'm actually going to go back and play the back catalog, which is really good for my backlog.
Yeah,
I'm looking over here as I bought like every game that's come out since pandemic started, and my wife's like, "So you got another game today, huh?" I'm like, "Yeah, go buy some Legos. Shut up." So, but yeah, man, glad to be back. Glad to be here. So let's keep it going.
Let's get it going, man. Last but not least, man, Mr. Smooth Fuzzy Belvedere, like a glass of cognac. Everybody, hold your pinkies up when Fuzz start talking. But how you doing, brother? What's going on, Fuzz? What you been playing, man?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Just been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and also some Destiny 2, trying to get to 1200 so I can at least do the raids and stuff like that, but or at
Yeah.
least the Nightfall. But man, just glad to be here and got some topics to get to, so let's get it.
Let's get it. Let's dive in, everybody. Once again, shout out to everybody watching live. Appreciate the love and support. Let everybody know we're live. Retweet that link on Twitter. I holler at everybody on social media. Tell them the Shop podcast is live and lit. So let's go ahead and dive right in, man. So once again, starting with the poll of the week, as we do every single podcast. Poll of the week this week. We're gonna dive right in here. Rank the importance of these next gen features. You can rank 1 through 4. Just curious how important some of these things are to gamers. So we have 4 different options. We had UI. We had games, features, storage, and it was an overwhelming. Not a lot of people voted, but the people that did vote overwhelmingly favored for games, features second, storage third, and then UI did not receive a single vote, which is surprising to me. I mean, well, I don't say surprising because ultimately we turn these things on just to get really to the games, to the apps, to the features, things like that. We don't pay much attention to the UI if we're all being honest about it. So I would agree as far as I'm not surprised in the order that things were chosen. So we'll start with you, Mav. They don't necessarily have to go order, but which one would you have chose as your first option? Your top option, I should say.
It's always games.
Okay.
I mean, that's why I play the platforms that I do. As for the games that I love to play, and that's one thing. If you look at Xbox, even PlayStation now, even going with backwards compatibility and how much of an emphasis that has, that's a good. You want to say feature, right? Because technically, I guess that's a feature, but the more games available for me, the better it is. So it's not necessarily just quality; it is also quantity. But it also does matter to have those quality AAA games coming, and I think the future is bright on both platforms right now. But definitely games, man. I mean, storage is kind of a trick question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you got to have somewhere to put your damn games, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, if without the storage, we got to assume storage is going to be there, right? So, assuming we have a place to install our games, then games is where it's at.
Well, the storage thing is kind of weird because we never really made that big of a deal about storage. I think as these consoles get more complicated, that's become more important. These things are getting closer and closer to PCs, and I think that's been more in the forefront the last 2 generations than it's ever has as far as the size of these games, DLC, update. I think a lot of us are starting to pay a little bit more attention, but I would agree it's not that big of a damn deal as long as you got somewhere to put them, some type of hard drive or some form of storage, and you should be good to go. But I agree with you, Mav, for the most part. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. Just get your opinion, man. Out of those 4 options, man, which one you choosing and why, brother?
Always games.
Always, see?
Always.
Stick to the script, man. Nice.
Always games. I mean, you guys know me. I play everything and anything for the most part, except for survival games, because fuck that shit. But man, life's a survival. I don't need to play that in my video game world, for Christ's sakes. But yeah, dude, I don't care what system it's on. As long as you got games, I'm there to play it.
Yeah.
What gen? It doesn't even matter, man. I mean, I go backwards, I go forwards. So
I figured this would be a pretty easy question for you. This is simple. We know what Stag does. He plays everything, buys everything. If there's a game you don't think he has, then you should probably guess again. Stag has everything. So
anybody want to play some Family Feud? No, I'm just kidding.
We can get into the backlog for real. But no, I agree with you, Stag. Games is always going to be the most important thing. That's why we buy the console.
Yeah, I mean, that's as everybody always says. That's what sells, exclusives, especially, right? Sell the consoles. So I mean, we're here. Like, we're not buying. I mean, I don't know very many people that buy a PlayStation or an Xbox to play DVDs. I mean, like, we're here for the games and the UIs. Whatever. I think that's just UIs are nice, and it's nice when they're functional and
when they work.
When they make sense and things aren't hidden, and they don't change every 3 months. But
well, I think the UI thing for the most part, Stag, is when it starts not working the way it should work, because it's like shoestrings. Like we just tie them. Like it's supposed to work. They're there. It's a means to an end.
Features are great for sure, but I mean, like that quick resume. I guess it's great. I don't know. I don't have an Xbox, so
Nothing matters unless you have the games.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, so yeah, end of the day, it's games.
It's like
So,
chicken or the egg, right?
All right, man. Well, no. Yeah. At the end of the day, Mav said it. I said it. Stag said it. We all agree here. Games is this. I mean, we could probably stop the whole conversation now. But we're gonna keep it up. 'Cause we
podcast
got
is
one
over.
we got one more person to talk here, man. So Fuzz, where you at with this, man? I mean, all of us pretty much have said games for the most part. Where you at, man?
Games are the main thing. Features, kind of a distant second to some extent. I mean, things like the auto HDR are cool and stuff like that. Quick resume, just the fast loading times. But games are the whole purpose of a console. It's without games, it's just basically a Blu-ray player or cable box or whatever you want to call it. UI, I mean, as long as it works, where things are, it's kind of self-explanatory. That's fine. Storage, I would say, is probably the least, or at the end of things, because there's always a solution. Although it's going to take a patch for the PS5, I guess, to add the hard drive compatibility to move your PS5 games if you start running out of room or whatever. But yeah, games are priority, followed by features. UI, I guess, next. So where to play your games or how to go about starting the games up, and then storage. I mean, there's tons of hard drive and other solutions out there. So yeah. That's basically it.
Okay, all right. And then last but not least, since you're out, man, let's make sure we get to everybody here, man. What do you think, man, as far as those options? Which one do you choose and why, brother?
Oh my God! Obviously, games. That seems to be the popular answer. And then who doesn't take a look at what's available in a console's ecosystem? You obviously don't want to buy it just to be able to watch movies and stuff like that. I'll be upfront. Back in the day, one of the deciding factors of buying a PS3 was they had a Blu-ray drive in them. And that was when Blu-ray players actually cost just as much as a PS3. So you were a fool to go out and get a PS3. I mean, a Blu-ray player over a PS3, because you could do so much more with the PS3. But I think it's really interesting, though, that how nobody did really touch on UI, considering last night I was doing, kind of basically running around on the PS5 doing the review for it. And I actually found myself enjoying, like, when you would go over Spider-Man Remastered or Spider-Man Miles Morales or even Astro's Playroom, the background would change totally on the screen to that game, and even on some of them, they would start playing music that was from that game in the background. And I thought little stuff like that was actually, really cool, very unique to the PlayStation. So I actually could see why UI would make a difference for some people. That's why it's interesting nobody voted on that.
Yeah, I thought somebody would vote on UI because, I mean, that's more of a personal preference. I mean, like I said, it's just there. A lot of us, it's a means to an end. It's the door to get into the house, essentially, when it comes to video games, man. But no, I agree. I mean, the UI, we notice it more when it's not working. Like, obviously, when it's not doing what it's supposed to do and it's lagging, whatever the case may be, that's when we notice how important it is. But yeah, I agree with, for the most part, games are why we're here. This is why there's a podcast. That's why we're on Twitter. That's why we all know each other for the most part. That common denominator are video games. So I definitely agree with you guys on that. So let's go ahead and keep this thing moving, because I believe we got a bonus question today. So we're gonna go ahead and fit that in as well. But let's keep this thing moving. Shout out to everybody in here watching us live once again. Super chat is open, man. Hit that up if you guys want. Completely up to you guys. Shout out to everybody in here watching live. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So we're talking about the launch, specifically Series X and S launch. They did come out and say that it was their biggest launch to date. They didn't throw out any numbers. Now we know, so I want to separate this because I understand there's been a lot of issues post-launch with these consoles. So I'm separating that. It was still overall a successful launch for both consoles. When you talk about the demand and the numbers, I assume that they would have moved if everything had been perfect. Like the last generation when those Xboxes and PlayStation 4s came out. So let's start with you, Mav. Where you at as far as the Xbox success and them saying, hey, it did better this time, especially in this climate? And what do you see going forward? Do you think that trend continues?
Yeah, well, I think it's a big contrast compared to 2013. That's for sure. And ultimately, these guys are going to sell as many as they can produce right now. You can't get one. If you try to get one online, anytime these pre-orders go up, it's a struggle, right?
Yeah.
So they're all going to sell out. Whoever is going to be producing the most is going to be selling the most right now. Eventually, that'll even out when there's excess available in stores, and then we'll start to really see the true signs of how well they're going to be selling to the casual market, right? As opposed to all of us rabid gaming fans that are just chomping at the bit and have been waiting for a long time to get these SSDs and the next gen features that we've been waiting for, the higher frame rates and all this stuff. So ultimately it is way better. And I believe Xbox when they say that 100%. And I do think it is going to continue with that casual market and other people in the future going forward. I just really think they have a home run with Game Pass. I think that $299 option, having that Series S, is going to be a gateway into a lot of people's homes that would have maybe not thought about buying a next-gen console. I think the Series X will, over time, prove that it is a powerful machine and that it can play amazing AAA experiences at high frame rates. And we're going to see crazy games getting announced at a rapid pace over the next few years with trailers, and it's going to be a marketing and hype train with Xbox going into this generation that we haven't really seen from them before. They have never had that 23 studio stable, right?
Yeah.
Like it's going to be crazy. So that's going to keep rolling. Now worldwide, they got, in other markets, they have a bigger hurdle to get over than they do in the US. So we'll see how it goes there. But, ultimately, when I think of what they're really going for is that US market, and then they're also making an effort in some of those others. So, the 360 and the PS3, it was a different story. And a lot of people don't really think back that far, right? They don't think back to 2005, 2006, and that with how Xbox was kind of killing PlayStation for a long time, right? When they had the more expensive console and they weren't selling as well, and until people started buying them as Blu-ray players, like Centurion had mentioned earlier. So ultimately, the time will tell. I think this generation, both consoles are going to succeed, and this is going to be a head-to-head match this generation, and Xbox is in a way better position than it ever has been before, and will continue to progress and grow just like the gaming market in general.
Okay, no, I agree. I mean, that's a great breakdown. I mean, that's the one thing you highlighted, and I think that we kind of get lost in the sauce here because it's always, what have you done for me lately? We got to understand, sometimes you got to let the meat marinate. It has to sit for a little while. Xbox has a lot of studios that they're managing. They're bringing in a lot of big teams, and things are going to pick up at some point. We're going to get, like you said, it's going to be a factory of just games at some point, and they're just going to hit their stride. It's going to be crazy. Both companies, though. Sony, same thing. They got a strong 2021 lineup already, with a couple big games already, they're going to be dropping very soon. So both companies are in great positions. We'll definitely see how this is going to play out. But we're going to throw this over to you, Stad. Just get your opinion, man, on just the fact that Xbox in this climate, like you said, a lot of it's influenced by demand. There's not a gigantic, well, not demand, but supply and demand. There's not a gigantic supply, so the demand outweighs the supply tenfold for both. So, like you said, they're going to sell out anyone that, becomes available. But where do you think, as far as that, and just this economy, both consoles doing well as far as, selling out?
I mean, I agree with everything you guys both just covered. The only one quick point I have to add to all of that is, granted, PlayStation is going to sell a lot because it has its base. Xbox is going to sell what it has to its base. But I think the defining factor, though, is going to be in about 2 to 3 years when the real games start hitting on both consoles, and we see what we get out of these multiple studios that Xbox has, and of course what PlayStation has. But when developers start really maximizing the software or hardware, whatever the fuck, the consoles and showing us what they can do after they've had time to learn how to use them better and make games for them. And I think at that point, we're going to see one company pull ahead or stay the course with the other big dog that always sells a lot of consoles.
The thing about that transition, though, that I want to bring up, Stag, and you could probably, obviously, you're going to elaborate on this, is that transition is never smooth, though. It never happens as smooth as I feel like it should happen. That transition from, okay, these games were made on old hardware, and this is not all optimized, and give us a year or two. But the transition never. I don't know.
I'm just saying that's why 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
When you're gonna get more, so Xbox is gonna have more exclusives, obviously, with the studios that they have and the companies that are working on games now that we don't even know about. So there might be some games coming down the pipe. I'm not even gonna say it might. There is games that are coming down the road in 2 to 3 years that are going to get people to buy an Xbox.
Absolutely.
I mean, there was I bought a PlayStation 4 as an Xbox gamer specifically to play God of War. So if God of War can get me to buy a PlayStation 4, Xbox is going to make some exclusives that are going to make some PlayStation guys buy an Xbox.
Yeah. And it's funny because
or just play it on PC, which still gives Xbox money. And I'm not making fun there. I'm just saying, like, if they have a PC and they don't want to buy an Xbox, they're still going to play it. And they're still going to have to give money to that ecosystem.
If you're talking about 2 to 3 years from now, also, you could add, if you're super casual about just playing one game, you don't want to go through all that effort, you don't got a PC, if you got a Samsung TV that's got xCloud built into it, you could do it that way too, right?
Well, yeah, and Phantom makes a good point. Console sales really isn't the point anymore. The point is subscriptions. And I've said that before on this show as well. Like, yes, console sales are a good thing. You got to have something to play it on. But Xbox has definitely moved towards the Game Pass model, xCloud, and that is, honestly, I believe that is the future. Is that streaming service stuff? That's what they're showing us. That's what they want to do. We'll see if they can get it there.
Yeah. Okay. No, I agree. You've made a lot of great points, Zach. Made a lot of fantastic points, and like you said, ultimately. I threw the question in the chat about which one hits their stride first. I think a lot of us said Xbox seems to be more prepared this time around as far as what they are able to do. The foundation, the infrastructure with cloud, and then being a gigantic software company and just the direction video games are going. They seem to be more prepared, but I think it's not that big of a gap.
Well, I think the roadmap is just a little bit clearer with Xbox than it is with PlayStation this time around, and I think we've got more. They've been more communicated, communicated with the consumer a little bit better about what their plans are going forward than what PlayStation's been doing this gen. I guess we can call it current gen now, can't we?
Yeah, because current.
We knee deep in it. We just don't have either console.
Yeah, but no, the thing about Sony is that we've talked about this. You've even brought it up that. I'm not saying it's unnecessary for them to make any drastic changes. I don't feel like they need to, but seeing the wave kind of like Fuzz would, elaborately say, reading the tea leaves, kind of seeing where games are going, you would think that they would try and put some, plant some seeds in that direction. But I don't know if Sony feel like they need to. They have their fan base. They have an amazing fan base, and they have such a strong brand that they can just do what they've always done. And not knocking them, not trying to bring any. They don't. The changes don't need to be that drastic for them. So I guess that's the only thing I would throw in there. But anyway, let's go ahead and keep this thing moving in, Centurion. Let's throw it on you, my guys, see where you're at with this. As far as, just going forward, man, in this generation, both companies are going to have great success. Obviously, we're not going to get any numbers. I don't foresee us getting any hard numbers, and not that I care much for hard numbers, but I don't see us seeing any data like that for a while. It's going to be tough in this climate. But what do you think as far as both companies going forward, having these successful launches, minus the post, technical issues?
I think both companies are going to be doing quite well for themselves. Each one is going to carve out kind of a niche for themselves, and there's going to be differences in the ecosystem for sure. Some people are going to prefer Sony's ecosystem. Some people are going to prefer Xboxes. But I am glad to see that Microsoft is definitely getting some headway, being received better, being sold in more regions. And they've also done a lot of headway with xCloud and Game Pass. So Microsoft has definitely put themselves in a much better position than what they had in 2013. I believe that even Mav kind of commented on that. This is not Donnie D waving his arm and basically all hell breaking loose going into next generation. This is definitely going to be a tug of war, and we're going to see people going back and forth. We're also probably more than likely going to see multi-console owners actually go up. We're going to see probably more people all of a sudden starting to own multiple consoles. Just because both these console manufacturers are going to be wanting to get your attention. But that's where definitely we can start kind of talking about. I hate to say it like this. I own both consoles, and that's not bragging. This is me just speaking out of my own opinion. Sorry if it differs from most people's, but right now, PlayStation has a lot going for them, but I feel like in the long run, the unuser, like, it's not very user friendly for casuals. And I hate using the word casual, but unless you're already used to Sony's, like, getting into Sony's store, it was really weird. And also the way their UI is, while it had just downloaded Spider-Man Miles Morales from the disc, and I went to play it, and it's like, you don't own this, and the disc is inside the machine. It's like, you do not own this. And then I'm like, great, so now the disc reader's broke, and somehow I'm on the PS4, even with the disc in the console, and I'm on the icon. It's basically trying to sell me the PS4 version of Miles Morales with the disc in the console. And I actually had to tell the console that I was interested in the PS5 version. And that's when the console's like, oh yeah, you own the PS5 version. Did you want to play it? And I'm like, yes. So why the hell would you recommend the PS4 version to me if I'm on a PS5 console? And that's where we're starting to see, like, how smart delivery kind of improves the fact that it knows what console you're on, and it's not trying to double sell you a game. I really feel like in the long run, we're going to see a lot of people that are going to be making accidental purchases, and they're going to find out the fun nature of Sony's return policy. Also, upgrading the storage drive on the PS5 is a little bit more complex than the Xbox. So I just feel like there's going to be some things that will eventually become an issue if they don't kind of deal with them now. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. That makes sense. That makes sense. So you're basically saying long run, short run.
In the long run, for me, I'm very curious because we all know both companies are going to have great games. Like, everybody is over here, excuse the expression, humping Spider-Man's leg with Miles Morales and Spider-Man Remastered. I know they're going to be great games, hands down. I don't need to read a magazine article or get anyone's opinion. We know these are going to be great games. I feel like the gem that's really flying under the radar, though, is Astro's Playland. I only played one level, but through one level, it was basically, this whole game was designed to show you exactly, like, it's kind of funny, like on Astro's Playland, you go to some level called the SSD Playland, or basically, it was basically trying to show you, like, you know, stuff that would be possible only with a really super fast SSD hard drive. And there was things all over the screen, like animations were popping. There was tons of AI going on. It was really, really cool. And then it shows you how the adaptive triggers work, how, you know, you're not really blowing into the controller, by the way, people. You're actually taking advantage of reverb on a microphone. Sorry. It's actually a trick with the microphone. When you blow into the microphone, it's actually registering it as wind, and it basically does what it's supposed to. But I noticed when, like, we had a little windmill pop up that you were supposed to blow into the controller, and when I went over to my wife and was like, here, blow into this, I know, it's a funny job. Anyways, so whenever you walk up to your wife and say, here, blow into this, you're going to definitely get a strange stare, for starters. Anyways, but when I said that, that's when I noticed it was actually registering the sound of my voice. And so that's why I was like, yeah, it's a trick of a microphone. but still, it was actually really cool to see kind of something like that. It's very interactive. And I feel like if you really want to truly experience the PS5 right now, I feel like Astro's Playland is honestly a good place to start, because I mean, even for my wife, she was totally wanting to get the controller from me and actually play this because it was just that interactive.
Awesome. Also, and the funny thing is, we've heard the same thing about that multiple times. I've seen it all over Twitter about how Astro's Playroom, showcases the dual
Playroom, Playland, that one thing that everybody made fun of.
Bud Snacks is really good too.
Game of the year, apparently. Bugsnax is
well, actually, you want to throw it out there. Everybody always wants to beat one console over the head. Let's talk about the fact that technically PlayStation gave you a game.
Yeah.
Like everybody remember back in the day when you buy a console, you'd get a game. I understand Microsoft gives you look, even with the Series X, I'm not trying to dig, but even with the Series X, did anybody get those cards where you get Game Pass for a few days?
No.
See, that was actually kind of something that was shocking to me. So
get it in the controller, surprisingly, but not the console.
Yeah, they're starting to give it out in the controller, which is, I'm pretty sure they're selling controllers hand over fist compared to consoles. But
on my controller collection, you'd say yes,
right? Yeah. But that's where definitely I could see where even though it's still Astro's Playroom, it's still like there's technically a game in the box.
That's true. Okay. All right. Well, let's keep this thing rolling, man. Let's keep this thing rolling to you, Fuzz. Let's get your opinion on where we at here, man. As far as what do you think? Just the future going forward with both of these consoles, successful launches. Albeit in this climate, as far as what we're dealing with, tight supply chains, all of that crazy nonsense. So where you at, man? As far as going forward, what are we gonna see?
Well, it's good to see that it's not going to be a repeat of 2013 or even a repeat of 2006 or anything on either end. Considering that they can't seem to make these things or at least deliver them to the stores fast enough, whether it's due to bots buying them or it's just customer demand in general. These things are going to be doing well, I would say, until about midpoint next year, as far as not being able to walk into a store and pick one up right off the shelf type of deal, which is a good sign. Considering unemployment's kind of high now in comparison, and a lot of people that are fortunate enough to work from home or working from home, they're, I guess, trying to take their mind off of the stuff going on in the real world with gaming, and the demand is there. So these things are just flying off the shelves or web pages as fast as they can. But I would say for the long run, it's going to be interesting to see if one, kind of reverses roles as far as outdoing the other. But I think it's going to be a little bit tighter match. Like I foresee the PS5 still doing 100 million plus. It's just a matter now of we'll see between the Series X and Series S if they can get somewhere north of like 60 or 70 million units in the lifespan of this generation. But in the grand scheme of things, the only thing that really matters, at least to Microsoft, is just going to be subscription. So when it comes to that, if they can keep on adding 5 million, subscribers every, quarter or every 6 months or so, I think this whole Game Pass setup will continue. Pricing will stay the same, and we'll just, reap the benefits of it. As far as with PlayStation, still hearing some rumors that they might go with something Game Pass like, but considering PS Now has been pretty much kind of along those lines, just without their day and date type of deals for their launch title or for their new releases. If we could see something like that, where either day and date or maybe within the first 3 to 6 months, that would be a nice change, and it would definitely sweeten the deal as far as on the PS side of things. For those that are on a tighter budget and stuff. But I'm just excited. Although I still don't have my PS5, got my kids their Series S, and I got my Series X, and happy as I can be. Now it's just a matter of considering the dev kits and the developers. I guess with everything being at the last minute or the 11th hour type of deal, some of these games might need some more patches or updates, or hopefully going forward, especially with Cyberpunk coming out here in a couple of weeks. hoping that at least it's a match for match, if not better, type of thing on the Series X side of things. But we won't see the full next gen, or I guess you could say current gen now, patch until sometime next year. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But the future looks bright for both. It's definitely going to be interesting. I want to see how both companies trade blows as far as trying to get our dollars or try to keep us in the ecosystem, because that's what gave birth to the whole Game Pass setup. Let's see if Microsoft can take enough of the market share so that Sony sweetens the deal even more on that side. But that's all I got.
All right. Well, cool. No, that's a great wrap up to the topic.
Can I add on? Like, because I just didn't want to bring this up until after. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Like big, right? No, the elephant in the room that everybody kind of dances around, and it's kind of interesting. Let's talk about the big issues with the PS5 and backwards compatibility. Like, how is it everybody is okay with all the money they have invested into their digital libraries, and it comes out that Sony blatantly had Ubisoft cover up the fact that there's going to be games that are going to have issues. There's going to be games that are lacking features. In other words, this is not going to be like actual backwards compatibility. They're even saying that there's possibility that these games might not even run right. And so this is just a start. Like, I just really do feel like, I mean, if you're a long-term invested gamer, somebody that actually enjoys playing generations of consoles and having access to it in one place, regretfully, I really feel like that's going to end up becoming Xbox, because PlayStation's mantra of this is a sacred garden, generations are generations, is really going to bite them in the ass. And they have basically, really half-assed backwards compatibility. They've done it since the start of, like, we all know PlayStation was the first company to come out with backwards compatibility. That is an absolute fact. They did it with the PlayStation 2. But I keep saying it, but they even half-assed it on the PS2. You couldn't put every game from the PS1 into a PS2 and play it. Just like, and then they got rid of it. It's kind of like, we thought about doing it, but we take it back. It's like every generation they thought about it, but take it back. It feels like Microsoft was the one company that really was like, no, once you buy it once, we want to make sure you can take it with you. And really now we're starting to see a lot of issues when it comes to backwards compatibility with the PS5. I mean, like, one recommendation that came from a GameStop employee was to not hook up an external hard drive to my PS5 or to use it on rest mode.
Yeah.
So we've been seeing some issues on both sides of things.
There's both sides. I just feel like Microsoft has possibly a small problem, maybe, that they can correct very easily. But I really feel like, I'm not trying to be a fanboy in saying this, but one, it is blatantly obvious that they need to redesign the PS5 because of its size. Obviously, there is some issues when it comes to the hard drive. I mean, the most common problem I've seen on Twitter is the hard drive issue that pops up, where you got to rebuild basically the operating system for the PS5. There's even been instances where people have to go on to PlayStation's website and download the operating system onto a thumb drive and hook it up to the PS5 just to because the operating system is so badly damaged that the console can't even download it from the internet properly.
Well, I think it's an example of one being a software company and the other one being a hardware company. Although Microsoft did a good job with the hardware, now it's just a matter of getting the software to show improve.
It just feels like the tweaks Microsoft will have to make are significant, are more insignificant compared to PlayStation. Sorry, Fuzzy.
Oh, no. I've had issues with my PS4 wherever there's a power outage. Like, for the most part, I don't really live in a rural area, but kind of in between suburban and rural. And if there's ever a power outage with me having an external drive on my PS4, I always have to do the rebuild thing, which I've never had to do once. Well, no, I had to do once with my Xbox Series, but it wasn't because of a power outage. It was because of an update. But with the PS4, if that thing loses power from being in rust mode with having an external, I have to rebuild the hard drive. Now, I haven't, knock on wood, haven't had a corrupt drive issue or anything like that. It's just time consuming, extra 5 minutes of this thing, rebuilding the database because it's a 4 terabyte drive of games. But I think a lot of people just kind of quietly accept some of the misgivings with the PlayStation. Like, look, when you could change your name or your user ID.
Oh God!
And there was some DLC or certain games that may not work because some sort of mismatch and things like that. So I would say hopefully there'll be some patches that'll kind of right the ship for the PS5 for those that are having issues with the external drive and rest mode and things like that. But I think everybody's just, they're like, oh, I don't necessarily want to play old games because I have my Demon Souls or I have Sackboy or I have, Miles Morales, and they'll just hyper focusedly play those for now until, the patches kind of fix things. And then they'll, return to some of their PS4 games, unless there's some sort of remaster of, God of War or, Horizon Zero Dawn or something.
Like now, let's use the we don't want to play old games. What happens if you go out this Black Friday and you buy Ghost of Tsushima and you own a PS5? You're gonna feel comfortable putting that thing in there? Like, I'm pretty sure it might just work fine, but there's always gonna be that question in the back of your mind. And as as a product developer, as somebody that I actually have control over certain products at my job, the last thing I would want is a consumer to have concern over buying my product and its functionality.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something we have seen very apparent when it comes to their take on backwards compatibility. And the regretful part is it's you can't, rather than you seeing them going, oh, well, this is something we need to fix. It's more of the other, like, you can actually see Sony trying to cover it up by making Ubisoft take down posts, and stuff like that. And so it definitely, this is one thing, like, people need to, at least this is the way I look at it, is gaming, even PlayStation called it niche. It's a very small community of people that are gaming. And if you actually notice, like, if you've been in the community long enough, you kind of get to know a majority of the people and kind of see the ones that are, the most vocal, we'll just call it. But definitely, God, I just totally lost train of thought on that.
Okay.
No, I'm just like, that's what it is. Now the community is getting bigger because they're starting to attract all these new people with xCloud and stuff. We're going to have more consumers, and now people are going to be coming into this situation that aren't going to be blinded and jaded by all the fancy, exterior of PlayStation. They're actually going to see some of this stuff, read about it, hear about it. And this is actually going to potentially make the new consumers of gaming kind of maybe go towards the other guy, just because they're a lot more flexible when it comes to the consumption of the products on their ecosystem.
At the end of the day, it comes down to value, though, right? So in 2 or 3 years from now, when you're looking at the amount of games on Game Pass, Avowed, Fable, Forza, Halo Infinite, and all Hellblade 2, all this stuff coming out, and it's on Game Pass, and all you have to pay is that $14.99 a month, and then you go and you get a PS5, and if they don't upgrade the PS Now subscription to be able to be competing with Game Pass at that point, you're looking at those $70 games. That's a huge delta of value that is only going to get bigger over time unless PlayStation does something about that. As Fuzzy was saying earlier, there's been rumors that they could be. Hopefully they do. But the writing's on the wall there. You can't ignore that value difference 3-4 years from now, especially. I mean, just put yourself in that time and place and think about the games that will be on Game Pass coming out day one. Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, all this stuff, right? And then on PS5, you're going to be paying $70 for each game. It's huge. It's a big difference.
So at least finish it up. I wanted to go beyond the Game Pass because obviously Game Pass is the automatic thing. Like the value behind Game Pass is just asinine. I mean, it literally has been the best thing in gaming since its inception. But also, I'm wanting people to see the value in backwards compatibility, purely because, like, imagine right now you just shelled out $120 for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And like, how would you feel knowing that regardless if it's 10, 15 years from now, that purchase may no longer work?
Yeah.
And that's where me as a consumer, I want it to be my decision that if that's going to stop, if I don't care, that doesn't work. I mean, if I don't want to play that game anymore, let that be my decision. Don't let it be like, well, in about 10, 15 years, it's not going to work anymore. So you just have to get used to that cycle.
That model doesn't work with digital. You know what I mean?
It does not work with digital. It doesn't.
Yeah, physical, you can get away with it. It doesn't work with digital.
All right. So we're going to be moving on here.
No, let's talk more about it. Let's hijack the whole show.
We're going to be moving on here. I'm going to have to cut something out here.
We already did.
Yeah, we.
Sorry.
It's all good. No problem, man. No big deal. Let's go keep moving on here. We're going to skip that topic for time's sake. But we're going to move on to the Game of the Year nomination. So Jeff Keighley just came out. Obviously, the VGAs are in December, I believe. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure they're in December. But the Game of the Year nominations came out. I don't have them pulled up in front of me. But I just want to get everybody's opinions on the Game of the Year. Obviously, this is all subjective to what you believe. Obviously, I think a lot of people feel like there was maybe an omission or two on the list, but just get your overall opinion. If you don't care, that's fine. But we just want to kind of get this thing moving. So, Matt, where are you at on this, man? Did you see the list of Game of the Year nominations? And what do you think about the overall list? Like, it's kind of a mixed bag. Some we expect it to be there, a couple maybe not. Where you at on it?
Lists like this are always kind of controversial because, I mean, anybody that does a top 5 list, top 10 list, or Game of the Year list or whatever there's always going to be arguments to be made. So at the end of the day, they picked the games that they picked, and I think they're all great games. I haven't played Hades yet. People have been telling me how amazing it is, and I want to play it. So I can't judge that game because I haven't played it. I do think there's some games that could have been in there, like Ori Will of the Wisp and stuff like that. But you know, at the end of the day, the people are going to vote for what they want to vote for, and whoever wins, I'm sure it'll be a great game. So you know, I think that it's nothing that anybody should be upset over. Like, this is not something that should be like, hey, this list, it does not mean justification for the things that you like, right? Yeah. Like, if you like a game and you feel like it should be there, hey, you know what? That's cool. That game's awesome. Like Ori, I love that game, right? But
and I think that goes without saying too, man. We lose that when we get in these Twitter streets and on social media, and we lose sight of, oh, I can just make my own list if I don't like his. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's okay. Like,
yeah.
All right. So I think we lose a little bit of that because of the competitive nature. You get into Twitter and social media, and we lose sight of all of that. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, you got id has a game in there, and that they're
Doom.
So, yeah, they got Doom, right? They got Final Fantasy VII Remake. I thought was a really good game. If I played through that game, if I was to pick one game maybe that wouldn't be in the Game of the Year competition, would maybe be that one, right? I think Ghost of Tsushima for me is probably the winner, right? Yeah. I love that game. I think it pushes the genre forward of that open world style action game. It has a lot of cool things that didn't take me out of the experience. Like sometimes like these games think too hard and try and be too real and things like having to bend down to pick up a plant and put it in your satchel, right? When you're in Ghost of Tsushima, right? You're just like riding along with your horse and you can just tap the button. That stuff just pops in your inventory. You know what I mean? It doesn't take you out of the experience. It makes it more fun. It makes it more fluid. And then not only that, when you're running on foot, you call your horse and it runs alongside of you. You don't ever even have to break stride. You know, just simple things that keep it flowing, keep it moving, keep it going. The story's good. The UI, right? UI is not important, but the UI is pretty cool in there. They do some different things with that. Like, for me, that game was that's going to be a game that you remember playing. You know what I mean? So, Ghost of Tsushima would be my winner if I would pick one.
All right, I think a lot of people would have chosen that as well. I thought about doing a poll on that, just like a second poll this week, but I ended up not doing it. But I think a lot of people would choose that. A lot of people on Twitter would have picked Ghost of Tsushima. Great, very very complete game all the way around, from top to bottom. So let us know, chat too. Let us know, what are you guys game of the year, chat. Let me know right now in the chat. What would you guys game of the year be? I saw War Chicken say Zombie Army 4. It doesn't matter, big, small, who cares? Really, at the end of the day. So let us know in the chat what you guys game of the year was. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. Obviously, you're pretty open about this, that you don't give a shit about these kind of lists and things like that. So what? I guess I'll revise the question for you. What was your game of the year?
I don't have one right now.
Oh wow, that's actually, well, you play a lot of games.
I mean, honestly, like right now for me in this moment of what I've been playing a lot of lately, it's a cross between Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning and Valhalla, but they don't qualify apparently. So here's where I stand on that list. I agree with. I don't think Final Fantasy should be on there. It's a fucking remake. Hades, I've heard, is a great game. There's been so much like middling ground on The Last of Us 2 that I'm having a hard time seeing it being game of the year.
Well, you knew as soon as the game came out.
Yeah. Animal Crossing, dude, ton of hype, but
I don't know about that. I
know. And I was a little upset that that Gears didn't get on the list. Like, look, I haven't even finished it myself, but it's a spectacularly looking game. The campaign is good. The multiplayer is good. So I'm a little surprised that like the one really, really, really good exclusive that Xbox had, one of them, but the really one didn't make the list. But I will say that I agree with Mav here that I think the Assassin's Creed clone, Ghost of Tsushima, will win Game of the Year.
Okay, cool. All right.
I don't feel like that game has pushed anything forward. I think it does all the same. And now that I've played an Assassin's Creed game pretty extensively, and I've played a lot of Ghost of Tsushima, I haven't finished it yet, but like I don't honestly see it doing very much, if anything, different than what Assassin's Creed is doing.
It does take a lot from that, because Assassin's Creed, he's right. Like when you collect things in Assassin's Creed, it's similar. You know what I mean?
Gameplay is similar, the stealthiness, the story progression, everything, like the collectibles, the lore type stuff, all of it feels very similar to what I'm doing in Valhalla that I was doing in. I mean, granted, there's more action in Valhalla than other, not Origins and not Odyssey, of course, but earlier Assassin's Creed were definitely more stealth based, and there's certainly some stealth elements to Ghost of Tsushima, obviously, but and there's action to it too. You can go in either way, but it's a very well done knockoff. But to me, that's what it is. It's like we need our own Assassin's Creed, and that's what they made. It's a great game. I'm not saying it's not a great game.
No, I know that. I'm just saying I was about to make a joke. I wish Chris was here because he would have took that. He would have took that one home.
Man, he would have been like, "I'm gonna go eat my mac and cheese." But yeah, saying all of that
there right now, and he's going, "Dude, my ear, it's like ringing."
Saying all of that, I still think it's an amazing game, and I think it's going to win Game of the Year.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I'm not taking anything away from the game. I'm just saying it is what it is, and it is an Assassin's Creed clone.
If I'm looking at both Sony games, as far as The Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, if you look at expectations, that Ghost of Tsushima far exceeded what people thought it was going to do.
Yeah, it definitely it exceeded my expectations. And like, look, I like PlayStation, but we all know that I'm an Xbox guy. I mean, I don't have almost 1 million gamer score because I equally love all platforms. I mean,
you don't have the time.
I don't. I have like fucking almost all the exclusives for PlayStation, and they're still sitting there waiting for me to hit my 1 million gamer score so I can switch over. I'm getting there, getting close. But yeah, I mean, I even have The Last of Us 1 and 2, and I haven't gotten to them yet.
Yeah. So no, once again, there's just some differences there. I looked at the list, and Animal Crossing's a bit odd. I mean, I get it. I understand.
The Animal Crossing's on the list, and Gears 5 isn't on the list.
That's what I'm saying.
Bullshit.
Animal Crossing's on there because of COVID. Remember when everybody was
Oh
going?
my god,
gaga over
everybody
that game?
loves that game.
Yeah, and no, listen, it's not a knock on Animal Crossing
No,
at all.
it's got a huge fan base from the
It's-
GameCube days, you know.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
Animal Crossing was a fun game, and I really liked it. But to me, it also it exposes a Nintendo thing that drives me crazy, where you can't have more than one island on your freaking console.
it's dumb.
And so it created actually a problem in our house where I have one Switch. You know, my daughter created an island that she kind of lost interest, and I was like, I want to try and get this game, but then I'm progressing her game, which she doesn't like. You know what I mean? So then it's like, what do I do? What do I do? You know, we have two different profiles. You know, why can't I have a second island? And it's because they want you to go and buy another Switch, right? I mean, I can't see any of the reason
Switch
why.
and save.
You know, like it's weird. You know,
Lite.
it's like the stuff they did with the Mario thing for 3 months. You could buy the Mario collection. It's Nintendo. It gets a free pass sometimes.
We don't. It definitely gets brought up on this show. Absolutely, we've talked about that multiple. I know a lot of other shows don't talk about that. We don't let Nintendo slide with that BS because Nintendo gets away with that BS. But once again, at the end of the day, everybody, this is not a knock on any of the games we're talking about.
Oh, I said it's a great game. I just still think it's an Assassin's Creed clone. So.
Exactly. And I understand, once again, from that standpoint as well. A lot of people love that game. I fully expect it to win Game of the Year over. If The Last of Us 2
Someday
wins,
Chris will finish it. So.
yeah, if The Last of Us 2 wins, I'll be highly surprised. Just because we know what Last of Us 2 is supposed to do. We know how big it's supposed to be. Ghost of Tsushima was not, I'm not going to say wasn't supposed to be that big, but I'd argue that game was a bigger game than Last of Us 2 this time around. You put them side by side, it matches up very well, you know, from just about every standpoint. So I don't know. I guess it just depends on, what you're looking at the particular time. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. What was your game of the year, man? We'll go there.
Me personally, or on this
just
totally fought off list?
No, shut up. No, just you personally.
Me personally, what did I play this year?
Game of the year. Yeah.
What would be my game of the year that came out this year? Because I want to kind of at least follow the rules, kind of. Shucks, I haven't had anything.
Gee golly,
I know. Gee golly, Batman. No, I really don't know, man. I haven't had anything that's made me go, oh my god, freaking. You've got my nominate. I have not had a game this year that's made me walk away going, yes, that is my game of the year.
Fair. That's fair.
I'm hoping to find that, honestly, with Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Leisure Suit Larry didn't do it for you?
No.
TLO2 is the GOAT? I mean, sure.
Well, I figured I tried with Shower with Your Dad, but it didn't really work out. So I just, kind of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Definitely now that I got the Series X thing figured out, I'm hoping that I'll be able to dive headfirst into that game and have a blast. But back on to the Game Awards thing, because, we're going to talk about, I have to agree. I don't think remakes belong in a Game of the Year category. A Game of the Year category should be reserved for developers that actually go out of their way to create a new game. You can go ahead and say, well, Final Fantasy is technically a completely remade game, but you have established characters, you have an established story, and you already have an established love for the game. So you're kind of like cheating the system in a way.
Well, I even agree with. I mean, I don't know if
if you want to have remake of the year, knock yourself out. There's enough of them. There's enough remakes every year where you could have remake of the year. It needs its own category at this point.
On merit alone, like as far as it being a remake, like it was remade so drastically different enough that I think it could be valid, whatever.
It would win
but I just don't think it was good enough to be considered Game of the Year. I enjoyed the game. I had fun with it. Just like, I played it and I'm done. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying, I have to agree with Stag too. If you're going to throw Animal Crossing in there, why the heck can't you throw the new Gears game that came out? Like there's
Gears
Tactics. I mean, from what I have heard,
Gears Tactic has
I don't think it would be a game of the year either.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big enough game, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think it's got like
it looks amazing, but it doesn't have a wide enough appeal.
Yeah. That's not gonna
I
make.
feel like I swear I guess Animal Crossing ain't my cup of tea. Like, forgive
It's
me.
not
I
mine
like
either,
it.
but it took the gaming community by
Oh,
storm,
dude.
and you have to
Well, then,
admit that.
Houston, what Gears game were you talking about, Stagger? About them nominating this year?
5.
I thought Gears 5. I thought Gears 5 was nominated last year. You
Was it
can't do
last
it.
year? Am I out of?
Yeah,
am I out of?
yeah,
Am I out
I
of touch with reality? That's fine. I understand that.
maybe maybe I was wrong, but
I
could've
don't know when
sworn it
games
was
come out. I just buy them.
just buying. That's what I mean. Who gives a shit? No, but anyways, if you really want to talk about honestly,
NASCAR Heat 5.
NASCAR E5. There we go.
That's Buzz right there.
Game of the year.
I like this one category though. I don't know if it was here last year, but I definitely like the idea of best ongoing game. There
Master
is
Chief Collection.
like that's where I just really feel
That's
like
an interesting category. I never heard about that. Like best ongoing game. Like
yeah, that's
That's a
where
category.
I'm
no, I mean
yeah,
it
says
the
best
thought of it.
ongoing.
It's not an actual category, but the thought of it actually being some type of
No,
category.
it's a category. I'm
It is?
staring at it. You have
I didn't know. I
your
didn't know.
nominations are Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. I'm pretty sure there's some other games that deserve to be on that list, but yes,
I
they
didn't
are
even know it was a real
awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. I'm actually I'm just saying that it's nice to see developers who really keep a product going for a very long time are starting to get
I put
recognition.
Sea of Thieves in there too.
Exactly. I really think
Dying
like
Light.
I think there's one there's one right there. Sea of Thieves. I mean, come on, they put some heart and soul in that.
Have any of y'all played the Master Chief Collection after the update?
Yes.
It is a freaking new game. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, if you put that 120 FOV slider, if you put it up to 120,
yeah, no,
that game is insane right now. I mean, it feels like you're playing a new freaking Halo game. I've said this several times, but guys, if you're a Halo fan, or even if you're not, go back and check out play Halo 2 Anniversary Team Slayer and matchmaking, and you'll be brought back to the glory days of Halo. It is a blast, and I think it should be getting more spotlight for the work that they did to bring that franchise back to where it is on that collection. It's amazing.
Yeah, because they got off to a horrible start. It was
horrible.
It was in a really bad spot for a long time, and it's funny because that was one of the few games that I don't want to say survived, but it's kind of come out. It survived that first bad wave of the Xbox One, that 2013 all the way to 2016 or so. That first few years they had after that horrible launch, it kind of muddled through that, and it was able to be a fantastic game. There's no other collection like it out there at all for any game. What other game has that type of collection? That as far as the amount of content that they put in it, the amount of updates. Is there any other collection that's close?
Zero. That's why I'm bringing it up, because it should be. I think it should be considered for that category.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yes, I understand that games aren't new. Maybe that's what they're looking at. It's a new game and it's kind of ongoing. But yeah, what they've been able to do is nothing short of mind blowing. So I agree with you there. Did I get everybody? I just wanted to make sure I got everybody.
Fuzzy, I think.
Okay, cool.
All right, so
Game of the year, man.
My game of the year is going to be Ghost of Tsushima. I just kind of figured that one was definitely going to be there. New Last of Us 2 is going to be there, even though I haven't played it. I don't think it should win. Well, I won't say I don't think it should win. I don't think it will win just because it's had kind of a mixed reception. A lot of people love it and enjoy it. And there's those that are like, oh, it's the worst story ever because of, spoilers. They're one of their favorite characters from the previous one and, bites it. But anyway, as much as people are enjoying Assassin's Creed, and it is before that deadline, I kind of figured that maybe this time Assassin's Creed wouldn't get snubbed, and yeah, they did. Was hoping Jedi Fallen Order would get in there.
Oh, that was another one that I thought they said it didn't. Was it the deadline? It didn't hit the deadline.
It didn't hit that. They didn't hit deadline last year. Didn't mean to jump in, and it's actually BS. They're not on Game of the Year.
You guys see that game
for Action Game of the Year, so it did receive a nomination. I will at least give it that.
Do y'all know that game actually has a 79 on Metacritic?
Jedi
on PlayStation? Yeah, it's mind blowing.
Well, Metacritic's trash anyways. So,
It is. It's just like
What?
what
Well,
do
the
people go by?
marketing was Xbox, so that definitely knocked a few points.
Probably.
crazy.
Ori,
Anybody
the
puts any stance in
big
Metacritic.
elephant in the room of the over or snubbed or whatever you want to call it. Ori, Will o' the Wisp. I
For
mean,
sure, Ori. Yep.
is it that it wasn't that much of a game changer versus the first one that it didn't get nominated? Didn't innovate enough? Well, I mean, I don't know. That was kind of puzzling to me why it got looked over. I knew Animal Crossing was going to be in there, and
Animal Crossing doesn't. It just doesn't sit right with me, man. Like
I don't think it should be there, but I just know how many people were clamoring over that game when COVID first hit. That makes it a lock. It's almost like when people laughed. I think it was a couple of years ago when Fortnite was mentioned as Game of the Year, and people laughed. It's like, well, look at how many people are playing it. I mean, can you not say
it's
it?
undeniable at a certain point. It gets so big that it's like, okay, we have to acknowledge this game.
Yeah.
So
Ghost of Tsushima deserves a spot. Last of Us deserves a spot. I kind of overlook Hades. I definitely need to give that game a try. If that one gets in there because Ori didn't, or that one slid in there because of Ori, or in place of Ori, okay, I'll say that's fine. Doom Eternal, I can understand.
Like they just threw that in there as a
it almost
well,
it was a great game.
For those that are true Doom fans, I understand why that's there. I don't necessarily agree, but it is a revival or a reviving of that series. I mean, the one from 2016 was a nice taste, and this kind of fixes it. Well, I wouldn't say fix, but it added so much more to that. But I don't know. I would have rather seen Jedi Fallen Order in there instead of Doom. That's just my 2 cents on that one. But Final Fantasy, I can see, and considering how people are saying it, would it being remade in a way where some of the controls were improved, menus were improved, the overall look, the pacing and everything being improved. I could see it being in there, but I kind of think that there should almost be another category for remasters and remakes, or I don't know, just like a new look, like new paint or something like that. I don't know what you'd want to call the category, but there should technically, since there's enough remasters every year, there should probably be like a new paint category type of thing. But I just, my personal take on it is hopefully Ghost of Tsushima wins it. Yes, it is kind of an Assassin's Creed with some of the things that Assassin's Creed probably needs to take a look at as far as taking away the guidelines and things like that. Like the wind was a nice touch. The main thing about Ghost of Tsushima, why it gets more praise than like an Assassin's Creed, is because of the little nuanced stuff, like, oh, you can pet the fox.
You can pet the dogs and the cats in Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Well, in Valhalla, yes, but the previous ones you couldn't really pet any of the animals or anything like that.
That's why I buy games, for petting fucking animals.
That's like a thing now. It's like
UIs and petting animals, man. That's all I'm here for.
It's a thing in these games now. It's like you have to be able to pet the dog or pet the cat or whatever. But
people need to get outside more. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ! If petting a dog or a cat in a fucking game is what sells you on it, we need to talk.
Yeah, I'm pissed off. What about the goldfish enthusiasts of the world?
Man, I want to flush one too. That's not what you meant. Never mind.
No, but walking through like the tall grass where he drops his hand through the grass and stuff, that was a nice touch. There's just some little nuanced things that they didn't have to throw in there that gave it that extra sparkle over like an Assassin's Creed to some extent. A good thing that Assassin's Creed now has dismemberment. I really enjoyed the dismemberment part where you'd slice through people, see their hand drop, and then the other people like fall and trip over themselves because they saw you just chop that guy's arm off. Yeah, that was a nice touch.
So what's higher on your scale as far as when you're judging to buy a game? Is it petting a dog or a decapitation? Which one is gonna?
As sick as this probably sounds, decapitation or some sort of like chop. Because that's what I loved about like Rise, Son of Rome. It's like Yeah, quick time
that game
events,
had some
whatever.
good
But
executions, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
chop through their throat, chop their arm off.
Like, look, I can go pet my own fucking dog. I cannot go cut my neighbor's head off as much as I want to.
Good, Edward. Good
But
job.
I mean, I could, but
yeah, we don't need
Anyway.
that news story.
anyways.
Total different direction.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to delete this. Thanks, Dad.
No, but yeah, for the most part, hopefully Ghost of Tsushima takes it all. Not a knock against Animal Crossing or Last of Us 2. I don't know. Ghost of Tsushima for me, I enjoyed that game thoroughly this past year. Just a little, not heartbroken, but a little disappointed that Jedi Fallen Order didn't get put in there. Yeah, some people didn't like the parrying. The parrying is a bit better now with 60 frames. So for those that were playing on console as opposed to PC, now you can kind of see why it's a little bit better game than what you could probably do before. But it would have been nice if they had put that one in there. But team it is.
And the thing about the VGAs is that we all gonna understand. Obviously, this is all opinion based. Now, obviously, let me just throw my last little one here before we get to this last topic. Final Fantasy out. I'm out on Final Fantasy. Don't get me wrong. I've never been a gigantic Final Fantasy fan. It's a great remake. I mean, they essentially rebuilt the game, from ground up. New graphics, new controls, menus, everything in the game was brand new. But ultimately, it's a game that we've played before. I don't even know. There may have been some new content as well, but I don't even think that there was any new content. Maybe there was some. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I agree. Ori should have been there. If you're talking about a game of the year, the thing that checks all of the boxes, Ori checks all the boxes, in my opinion. Graphics, story. It sold very well on every platform that it was on, from Switch all the way to Xbox. To me, it's just such a great game from top to bottom. Critically reviewed well, all of that other shit that I don't care about. It checked off those boxes as well too. So, other than that, I mean, Hades is cool. Like you said, I know Indy's in here right now. Hey, Indy's gonna give me shit about this for sure. But hey, I'm okay with Hades being nominated as well. But let's go ahead and move on to the last topic of the night. Shout out to everybody that's been watching us live, hanging out with us. We're running a little bit over, but who cares, man? We're gonna wrap this thing up in a minute. This last topic. So we're gonna be talking about IO Interactive's new game. Now this came out of, I guess, left field. We didn't know what kind of game that they were making. They obviously came out a few days ago and said, hey, we got something to talk about or something to show you guys, or surprise essentially, and it ended up being a 007 James Bond game. So there's a short trailer for the game. Have not watched it, but I'm just want to get everybody's opinion on what are their expectations for this Bond game. We have not had a decent Bond game since Nintendo 64. That's facts. We don't even have anything in this genre anymore. We don't have not Tom Clancy, but Sam Fisher. We don't have a Joanna Dark. So there's nothing really in that outside of Agent 47, but even that's doesn't really scratch the itch. So I'm hoping for a lot of stealth, obviously a lot of espionage. I don't care whether it's first or third person. I know Hitman is third person. Oh, not first. Yeah, Hitman is third person. I don't really care much about that, but I just want to get everybody's opinion on what are your expectations, and we'll start with you, Mav. So when you first saw that they're making a Bond game, what are you thinking? What do you want for the game, man? What's on your laundry list?
Well, first off, it's a match made in heaven, I think. Like, IO Interactive with a Hitman franchise and what they've done with that. And you can just imagine, even if it is kind of a clone, but the environments they make look incredible. If you think back to the Hitman games recently, like the mansion level, where they're doing like the fashion show, right? During it's just like the game looks gorgeous. And you can imagine being in a casino as Bond, walking around, trying to listen for information. And, my mind goes to these kind of places. I hope they bring some story into it, a really strong story. As far as what all it's going to be, I don't know. The good Bond games we've gotten in the past were multiplayer focused, right? Even though GoldenEye had a good story, right? Most of us remember playing the Golden Gun, right? We remember playing a 4-player split screen multiplayer on GoldenEye. It was 007, and there was also a good Bond 360 game that was kind of like Call of Duty style multiplayer. I don't know if you guys remember that. I don't remember what it was, but
I don't remember. I know what you're talking about, though.
it was fun. It was a pretty good game. I played quite a bit of that. So when I think of Bond games in the past,
007 Legends,
something like that, yeah. When I think of good Bond games in the past, I think of multiplayer games. So it would be good to have, IO Interactive take this license and do something with it. And it's cool to see an independent studio like that as well get an opportunity like this.
And God,
right?
It's not EA doing it.
This stuff usually goes to like EA, Activision, Microsoft, Sony, and then IO, who's a studio that's proven of being able to make these amazing like spy / hitman games, get an opportunity to bring Bond to life, which is one of the biggest characters in cinema history, right? So it's a big deal for them to get this opportunity, and we're gonna get a Bond game like I don't think we've ever seen before. So, and I think it'll sell, and I think it'll do well, and I'm excited about it.
So I think I akin this to Insomniac getting a chance to do Spider-Man. It's not maybe a 1-to-1 ratio. Spider-Man's a gigantic character. I think he's more relevant. Bond obviously is a movie character as opposed to comic book. But I think this is, like you said, this is big for them. Who like I said, the last company to make a Bond game, which was it Activision? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Activision. It was like a Call of Duty clone, pretty much.
And it was a horrible game. So this is big. You don't get this opportunity, and I expect greatness from this. Now, I asked you, I don't know if you heard me, Mav. What would you prefer, first person or third person?
Oh, geez, I want the option.
Okay,
if you're making me choose for a Bond game, I want third person, but I want to make my own Bond.
Oh, I like that. Customization could be fun if they allow that. I don't know how far off the script they're going to get. If it's like, obviously it's an official licensed game. And I don't think there's a Bond movie coming out, is there? So hopefully they're not doing that.
There's like it's a Bond spinoff. It's actually a girl.
Oh.
Yeah. So
hey, you don't remember the uproar that everybody was like, Bond's a girl?
I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me at all.
I'm just saying there was a big hullabaloo about it.
It's the perfect franchise, really, think about it, to have create your own character, because there's been multiple Bonds. We've had Connery, Timothy Dalton, we've had Pierce Brosnan, we had Daniel Craig, right? So
because if you get into the whole lore of it, the rank of 007 is something that basically, if you die, that rank gets put on somebody else. That's why you can have a character creator, because basically 007 was nothing more than a call name for him, and if he died, that call name would be given to someone else.
I get that, so that makes sense from a story standpoint as well, from a lore standpoint. Got it. Okay, I don't want to cut you off there, Mav.
No, you're fine.
Okay, all right, cool. So third person, I'm thinking third person, Mav. I'm going third person if we're doing Bond. I mean, they're good at it as well. Hitman is all third person for the most part. I'm pretty sure 99% of the game is in third person, so I think that works better for if you're doing the set pieces and the kind of game that I think this is going to be. I think it would be fun, just to kind of have Bond be third person. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag. I don't know how much of a Bond fan you are, but what do you think when you saw the trailer? Are you excited about it? What are your expectations?
I was totally not excited. Didn't go look at the trailer. We'll get there when we get there.
All right.
I'm at. I like James Bond well enough, but it didn't like arouse like excitement in me. I guess that's a good way to put it. Look, man, we know nothing other than they're gonna make a game. So, okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll find out it's a mobile game and we'll all be pissed off.
Yeah, I'm down if it's mobile. What? Real gamers play on their phones.
It's actually going to be a card game.
Oh Lord,
deck builder.
Oh, if it's a pure just VR game like the doing with the Splinter Cell thing, I'm gonna be extremely pissed off.
I mean, look, it's so it honestly, I hate I swear I regurgitate this so much, but it's just another IP making another game that we've been down this road so many fucking times. Like, okay, cool, James Bond. Okay, cool, Call of Duty. Okay, cool. Like, I'm about to be blasphemous here. Halo, God of War, all these different games. It's like, God damn it, be creative. Like,
So you're more so just that nostalgia. Is that what it is?
I don't know. I'm tired of fucking lack of creativity and fucking harping on your nostalgia and them making games with titles of characters that you're like, I'll buy it because it's name recognition. It's God of War. It's blah blah blah. It's just I'm gonna be a Killjoy. I'm gonna. That's what I'm here for.
Andy, man. Shout out to Andy. You've been here more than once. You know what it is, Andy.
We could have an hour-long debate, me and him, about this topic at some point. It would be fun.
It's all good though. Like it's not like I'm not gonna fucking play it. I'm just, man. I even threw Halo in there, and I love Halo. So I mean,
I caught that. Your voice lowered a little bit when you got to Halo.
Staggerilla says they should stop making Halo games.
Oh my!
That's the hot take.
Oh my! Yeah, that's the only thing they're gonna take out of this.
Clip that. Let's clip that and put it up on YouTube or Twitter.
The replay, but I don't want to cut you off, bro. If that was your
no. We're good. I don't have very much to say on that topic because, like I said, we don't know very much about it. It's cool. I do it. Yeah, I was one of those dudes that played a shit ton of GoldenEye on the N64. I did. Sitting around with your friends with that weird ass controller, having a good ass time. Hell yeah. But we'll see, man. If it's a Hitman style game, I'm not going to be excited because Hitman does nothing for me. So.
Yeah, I think it's just personal preference, man. I mean, they're good at it. It's right up their alley. It fits what they do well. That's good. And, I mean, it could be really, very good, but it could be really bad as well because they could be comfortable, complacent with the franchise and say, okay, we'll just do this. We got a skeleton called Hitman. We'll just build around that. So I hope it's not that. I hope they don't rest on their laurels too much and give us something new, fresh, new ideas, new gameplay. So that's what I'm expecting at least. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. So we can get this thing moving. I don't want to make the show too long, but
wait, I got more to say to keep it going.
Chris ain't in here no more, bro.
Dragging the show out and saying way too much is my job.
Well, the thing I really hope for it. No, I'm just kidding.
Go ahead, Centurion. It's on you, brother.
Well, sorry if I interrupted earlier on everybody with those holes. Like James Bond, forgive me, is actually a character I grew up watching. I don't know how many people can say this, but I have watched every single James Bond. I have seen them all. I really at least hope in this game they kind of pay homage to Sean Connery, who regretfully just recently passed away.
That would be nice. I was thinking that too.
Just as like
90-year-old people die. So,
but it's not that 90-year-old people die. Let's just throw, of course, but let's look at the fact that James Bond is he was probably one of the most recognizable people when it comes to entertainment. I mean, he really kind of set the standard for James Bond, especially in that iconic image of Dr. No, where he's sitting at the casino table lighting a cigarette. I mean, that just set the tone for James Bond because that was his first time ever on screen. And even though he was a book character, that's what a lot of people don't understand is he was actually a book character. Anyways, I'm excited. I'm really kind of looking forward to what they're going to do with it. They are probably more than likely going to use a little bit of what they've been doing with Manhunt, but not Manhunt. My God, what the hell is it?
Hitman?
Hitman. There we go.
Wow.
I know, man. And I've played them both.
This fucking fraud.
I know, dude. I am coming live tonight from the bushes, everyone. Anyway, so with Hitman, it was a great game, but this is where we got to talk about some of the stuff that they're going to have. Like, we're not talking about a guy that walks around killing people. We're talking about somebody who walks around like espionage, gathering information.
Boring.
And now here's the only thing. In Hitman, Agent 47 is a very stoic person. This dude is like a statue. He doesn't conversate, and when he does, it's like talking to a machine. James Bond is actually, got Rico Suave going on. I really think that there might be some dialogue elements to this whole thing. Like, could you imagine having the element of having to seduce somebody, to kind of get somewhere? Imagine now we're also going to have gadgets. We're going to have to introduce the idea of Q. And obviously M, you're going to have the handler. And then obviously, what James Bond movie does not have cars? Are we going to see for the first time a driving element in a Hitman style-esque game come out of IO Interactive? So that's where at least in the recent iterations of Hitman. I can't talk about in the past. I'm talking at least here on the Xbox One generation. There hasn't been a driving element. And I'm sorry, every James Bond literally has been built around Maserati and great European cars.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't even consider
great
that.
And European and cars go in the same sentence. That's
dude, you can't go from let's really talk about if you watch a James Bond flick. Well, James Bond flick, let me see, you got Aston Martins, Maseratis. I mean,
Aston Martin.
all sorts of great cars in these.
No, it's all good. It's all good. No, listen, there's a ton of ideas that we could get from this. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I love your ideas. I didn't even think that far about some of the aspects you were covering, and I think that would add so much to the game. Now, if those things do or don't get implemented, obviously we will definitely. Well,
that's one thing I just wanted to point out, because we're not dealing with Agent 47. This isn't just mow around and kill people. This is, you actually have somebody that is supposed to have such a personality behind them. He can seduce people.
No, listen. I'm 100% with you on that. These are two different characters, and I think that's the only thing I worry about, is that they stay in the Hitman lane, and I hope they don't keep the game in the Hitman lane. I want them to get out there, take chances, do something uncomfortable, and make a great game. So that's essentially what I want. And a lot of the stuff you said will be definitely outside of what they've done so far. So I like those ideas. I'm 100% on board with just about everything you said, for sure. So let's go ahead and get this over to you, Fuss, so we can wrap this thing up, man. So what do you think, man? The 007, man, where you at?
Interesting idea. Why couldn't we just get a John Wick game?
There's one coming out.
I'll take that.
Not that top-down one that they made a couple of years back, but yeah, I'll give it a try.
John Wick game coming out?
No, there was a John Wick game a couple of years ago. It was a
one coming out.
Wasn't John Wick over his puppy or something?
Yeah, for the first one.
Yeah, because he couldn't pet his dog. All right.
That's not good. Could you imagine creating a game on that concept? I'm just gonna go burn the city down. Why? Because of my puppy. Okay.
Sometimes it's that serious, man.
Isn't that what all the Barbie games are about?
No, but I'll wait to see some footage of it or trailers of the actual James Bond game in action when they get closer to releasing it. It's a good idea for them to give it a try. They've kind of run the course with Hitman for right now. It's nice to see them pick something else up. Was kind of hoping maybe a Kane and Lynch type of thing, but well, we'll see. 007 in 2022, hopefully, or 2023. That's it.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I mean, like I said before, I think a lot of us are excited about the game. Ultimately, I just want to see what they do. I mean, the more information we get later on down the line, we're obviously going to be asking for a lot. So hopefully, IO Interactive is on board and decides to take a chance and do something different with this franchise, because it means a lot to a lot of people, and I just want to see it do well. And I think if they really put the pedal to the metal, I think they can make a phenomenal game potentially. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. But, man, that's going to wrap up the show. We went a little extra long for you guys today. Not a problem, man. Appreciate everybody that came out, watched the show, supported everybody that was in the chat live today. Saw some couple new people. Once again, if you're new here, subscribe, like the channel. It does help the channel be seen, get some support on the videos. More videos coming. I know I took like a week or so off for making any additional videos on as far as content on the channel, but that's coming back as well. I finally got some ideas. I was on like this writer's block kind of situation where I just couldn't think of anything to put out, but got some more content coming out. But let me go ahead and get to my panel here before we wrap things up, everybody. Start with you, Mav, man. Appreciate you taking some time out to hang out with us, man. Every single week, last 3 weeks you've been here, man. 2 weeks. Feels like 3 weeks. 2 or 3. I don't.
Well, this is my third time. This is my second week in a row. I think there was a week in between.
Yeah. But appreciate you hanging out, man. But let everybody know what's going on with you. I know you got the podcast popping over there. Tell everybody where they can find that, man.
Yeah, so check me out on YouTube, Fun Speculation. You can also find me on Twitter at Fun Speculation. We got the Xbox Ultimate podcast, which is now live. Happens Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check that out. My wife joins me. It's fun. She's random, so she'll just bust my balls live on air. Who cares? We have guests now going to be hopping on. So you guys on this panel, hey, look forward to some invites soon. Maybe you guys can join me at some point. And check out, I also do stream quite a bit on my channel as well. Just play games. If I'm gaming, I'm 90% of the time when I'm gaming, I'm streaming. So come hang out. See you there.
Awesome, man. Once again, thank you for hanging out on the show, man. Being an awesome guest, man. He's doing big things, so catch him while you can, because in a while he's gonna be so busy that you may not be able to, have time to get him on your show. So reach out, hit him up, man. He's always been amazing. And once again, brother, thank you for hanging out with us. Spend a little bit of time here on Saturday. Let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Stag, man. Who's cooking? Let everybody know where they can find you at, stream situation, all that good stuff.
Man, you can catch me on the Twitch Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard playing something or other. I mean, I'm trying to get caught up on all the content I'm behind on, but I think I need to just give up that fantasy that I'm never going to get caught up on all the codes I have. But yeah, you can catch me on there, and if I decide to show up on Saturdays, I'm here as well. So I mean, when I feel good, I'll be here, obviously. But yeah, man, just been doing the stream grind on Monday through Friday and trying to get that 1,000,000 gamer score so I can just play what I want. I've been playing the crap out of Valhalla, so I mean, but I'm still putting up 500 to 2,000 points a day playing something else and then jumping over to Valhalla, and then I spend the rest of my day on that because my state's back in lockdown. So, woohoo!
I love that. But yeah, man, appreciate you, Stag, for hanging out. Once again, check him out on Twitch. All of the information's in the link in the description below. Please do me a favor and show some support and love with Stag as well, man. Centurion, let everybody know what's going on with you, man, where they can find you at.
Well, what's going on is I'm launching a campaign to save my place here on the Shop Podcast from Mav because I already feel people.
I thought he was replacing me.
No, what? No, he's replacing.
I think he could take both our spots,
dude. I honestly rambled on so much tonight, dude. They actually had to clip a topic because of me.
The thing is, though, he can't take our spot in Anthem. So
no. That's what binds.
I'm telling you what, man. There is no Colossus like the Colossus.
Yeah. That's what binds us. We're together forever. Anthem,
yeah, but
whenever
the Colossus, I'm gonna still say it. The Colossus would be able to wreck some shit. Everybody could. Oh, you can't play the Colossus. The shield sucks. Oh no, when you know how to use that shield, man, it gets real fun.
And the podcast just went on for another hour.
No, right. Anyway, if you guys want to listen to me ramble on, talk about Anthem and any other crazy stuff that goes through this crazy mind of mine, be sure to tune in to me and my channel, Centurion1307 on YouTube. And you can also find me on Twitter and Xbox Live. I also kick it right here every Saturday night, annoying these fine gentlemen right here on the Shop Podcast. And then I turn my aim over Sunday nights to annoy those gentlemen over there on the TXR Podcast. Too many letters. Oh my God.
Yeah, awesome, man. Appreciate you every single week here. Centurion, don't worry about nobody taking your spot, Centurion. Don't worry about that. We don't need to do that, brother. We don't need to do that. No, I'm just playing, but you're all good, brother. So I appreciate
But that's not what we talked about. What do you I'm just kidding.
Well, another one kicked me to the curb. I just get used up.
No, Centurion is the man. He's here to stay.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Now, so it's my spot. All right, cool.
God, this is getting serious. We gotta get out here. Come on, Fuzz.
Fuzz is just permanent. So
yeah, nobody could compete with Mr. ASMR over here.
Yeah, it's unreplicable. Yeah, you can't replicate the voice. Go ahead, brother.
Have you seen his fans only page?
No, we're not going to talk
only
about
fans,
that tonight.
Bro. That's how you got to survive in this climate, man.
Right.
It's nothing but black screens and audio.
Hey, you got to use your imagination, all right?
Go ahead, bro.
You can find me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere, PSN Fuzzy_Belvedere, or Xbox Live Fuzzy_Belvedere. Playing either Valhalla or Destiny 2, trying to get to 1200 and above because I'm way behind on that one. But man, awesome show, guys.
Awesome. Appreciate you here, Fuzz, every single week, man. You guys add so much to the show, but we're going to wrap this thing up. So last but not least, your boy PTK Blam. Catch me on Twitter, PTK Blam. All that information is in the description below. Once again, hit the like button as you guys on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Love you guys every single week, man. Same place, same time next week. New guests, I will let you guys know Monday who the guest for this week is. It's going to be fun and amazing show we got lined up. But once again, peace, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
Know who
Wash
the
your
guest
hands,
is.
play a whole bunch of Anthem. Peace out, everybody. Take it easy.
Later.
Take it easy.